And we're back with another Zoe Bowl 2019. Just have a rules and league updates. I know we've talked a lot about it, but I just don't want any surprises since we're changing to a Empire League format. I just want everyone to be clear on what's changing, how it's changing. I don't want anyone to show up to the draft and be surprised by a higher budget or bigger benches or anything like that. So here we go. First, the big thing is Dynasty. Better way to say it is the Empire League is the model of the league that we're going to be going forward. So, just what this means is no redraft every year. You'll have a rookie draft. We'll kind of get into that more later. There's no off season. You can trade draft picks in the future. You can trade players year round because you're going to have that same roster the next year. We're we'll still have the draft, 3 round rookie. We'll talk about it more later. Uh, so what's the Empire part of this, and what separates it from Dynasty? So I say Dynasty and Empire because people are very familiar with Dynasty. Keep your team year to year. So the Empire is more about the money involved with the league. So let's say we have a $20 buy-in every year. Half the pot will go to first place. The other half of the pot will go into the vault. Now, if someone wins 2 seasons in a row, they win the vault. And then we would do an entire redraft. Now, a lot of people who are excited about Dynasty may be bummed out that eventually there could be a redraft. Keep in mind, for the Zoe Bowl for the last 7 years, we've had no one win it 2 years in a row. So 7 years in, we would still have the same old Dynasty teams that we've had for a long time. Just something to consider. The idea of doing the redraft after someone wins twice in a row is they've built up their team to such a dominant point that the league's in an inbound state, and at that point you cleanse it, you do a redraft. So that's kind of what separates it from the dynasty, and I just want everyone to be clear on that. I've talked to some people, and they're thinking it as terms of this is my team forever, which is a good way to look at it. It might be your team for the more than a decade. It's you still want to play like it's a dynasty because it could go on forever, but we are doing the Empire model for our league. So new rosters. I've been asked about this from a few people. Same starters as last year. 1 QB, 2 RB, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex, 1 defense. The difference is on the bench here, you're going to have 23 bench spots and 2 injured reserves. Just to comment on the injured reserves, at the end of the season, before we do the rookie draft, you have to get the 2 injured reserves onto your bench. Changing apps. So we're going from the ESPN app to the Sleeper bot after the draft. So the main thing with this is the ESPN app's really dated. They don't make a lot of changes. The one thing they have is auction. I don't even love how they do auction. You have to have $1 at every position, so you can't spend all of your money. For example, like Brandon did last year, he spent all of his money on 6 players and then was zeroed out. Some people might think that dumb. Brandon can laugh at them though because he had the best season of all time within the league doing it that way. But ESPN forces you to keep at least $1 for every position. SleeperBot is a new app, so it doesn't have auction yet, but it already has a lot of stuff that ESPN doesn't have. It's easy to use, very fresh. You can trade draft picks. It's very good for Dynasty. They never turn the app off, so ESPN turns off the app for I think it's 3 or 4 months during the year, and then eventually they reactivate it. This doesn't do that, so it's just nice to have for Dynasty, and in our case, Empire Leagues. And if anyone has any questions on the Sleeper Bot app, just let me know. Again, I don't think this will really be a problem for anyone. It's easy to use. Just some general draft tips. Just again, I know some people do more prep than others. I want everyone to kind of be on the same page and not be thrown off by anything when the draft comes. So the big thing I wanted to point out to everyone, and I've checked and confirmed this, ESPN shows the estimated values based off a $200 budget. So even if we had a $1,000 budget, it's giving you prices with the idea that you have a $200 budget. So this is important because we have added money to our budget because we have so many bench spots. We have $300. The values it's showing you saying, hey, this player is worth $100. That's based off having $200 budget. So for us, you could say, oh, I think that player is worth $150 because we have a $300 budget, and I'm just going to add that. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case because, again, you do have all those extra bench spots. You need to save money for those. You need to budget for that. But the values are a nice guideline to follow, but don't stick to them too closely. I would suggest getting the players you want. You're gonna have these players a long time, so at the end of the day, I would get players you like. I want to point out age is not everything. I know this is a mistake I've seen people make before in other dynasties, or other people who are in dynasties have complained about to me. Age isn't everything. You might draft Jacobs, rookie running back coming into the Raiders this year, thinking he's the future, and he might just not work out. Or you might spend all of your money on Barkley because he's going to be great forever. He has a season-ending injury, never recovers, ends up getting traded. Injury plagues him his whole career. Things change quickly. So I want to throw out ages and everything. A tip I wish I had known before I did a dynasty league was wide receivers are normally considered more valuable than running backs. In redraft leagues, this is normally the opposite, but within dynasty, wide receivers normally have a longer career, and they're normally at the top of their game for a longer period within their career. So those are just, two general tips. I would suggest getting your backups and or depth. This is a bonus to, again, keeping a little bit of your budget for the very later rounds. If you have a running back that's injured, hopefully you have the backup running back, so you can just put him in. Same system, you're not losing out on much. So general tips, just throwing them out there, just suggestions. Again, you can completely ignore these. These are just very simple things that I think are important to keep in mind going into it, so you don't leave the draft saying, oh, hey, I thought those budget values were for the $300, so I wasn't going over that. I thought I was overpaying if I went over that. Well, now you know, so I'm throwing it out there. Finally, the draft is on August 31st at 6 p.m. It's been set that way since April 30th, so I'm very hesitant to move it. If we had a lot of people that couldn't do it on this day for any reason, let me know and we'll try to change it if possible. But odds are we're keeping it August 31st. I hate to change it when we've given so much notice. Get the day off work if you're working, if you can. Try to make it work. I'll be doing the draft at my house. We are doing it through the ESPN app, so it's not as exciting when we have the live draft board, which I'll be going back to doing that starting next year. But for now, this is what we have. It'll be at my house. I'll set up, tables so we can have all the laptops and computers out, and we can just all do the draft together. Whoever wants to come, food and drinks, whatever, come to my house at 4. We'll get to it. That's it. If anyone has any questions, just send them to me. Let me know. I'll clarify whatever needs clarified. But I think this pretty much made everything clear. So I'll see you guys all at the draft.